Welcome back to another episode of On a Mission. I'm your host, Dr. Wendy Norfleet, and it is my pleasure to have with me Vivek Chakrabortty with the Kavi Group. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So I know I just said a mouthful, Vivek. Tell us a little bit about the Kavi Group. I know you founded it. So tell us, what made you found a company and then what kind of company it is.
Sure. So in 2014, my wife and I founded the Kavi Group. And what we do is we specialize in crisis management consulting for multinational companies and organizations.
Okay.
What caused me to found it is I've been doing this for 23 years. So I started in Y2K.
Okay.
Then during 9/11, I was in New York, helped a lot of our clients at the time make it through, recover from 9/11. And then I spent a year in Louisiana after the hurricanes Katrina and Rita in the recovery effort. So for me, it's very personal. And so when it came time to become an entrepreneur, bring my expertise, this seemed like the right thing to do, to help companies navigate. And actually, that's what Kavi means. It's an ancient Sanskrit word that stands for sage or oracle.
Okay.
So in ancient times, the Kavi helped the kings and queens
navigate. They were the ones who came for wisdom and gave them advice and things like that.
So that's what we do today for our clients.
Oh, wow. I love the story behind that.
Yeah.
So I know that a couple of these companies that or areas you mentioned, they've had some major disasters. So tell us a little bit more, like concrete things that you do for these companies. I know they have to recover, but do you go in and you do what?
So we actually, most of the time, help them before something happens. Our job is to help them assess what they're vulnerable to.
Okay, so you actually do contingency planning too, then?
Yeah, it's a big part of what we do. So in the crisis management part, it's the upfront when something happens, how do we respond to it? But then how do we recover from it too is the contingency.
Okay.
So we'll help them assess what could go wrong, how is it going to affect you, what the impact will be, and then what plans do you need to put in place to minimize the impact.
Okay.
So we may not be able to prevent a disaster from happening, but how you respond and recover to it.
Sometimes it's just as important.
It's just as important. And so that's what we do.
Okay. So I understand that perfectly. I'm in IT for almost 20 years, and that's for several years, that's what I did, contingency planning and recovery.
Yeah.
But it was on systems and things like that. But the same thing.
So you talk about hot sites and warm sites and cold sites.
And also, what if we get hit? What if we, we get hacked? So what are we going to do? We can't prevent everything because obviously systems are being created every day. That's a little bit bigger, better. But what are we going to do? And those plans sometimes can save you because you don't have time to think in an emergency.
No.
You have to be able to respond.
There are so many things going on, right? You've got financial impact, you've got operational impact, life safety of your employees and their families, and then you've got your own company's reputation. And many times for executives, it's their reputation on the line because they're the ones in front.
Right.
And so how do you manage and balance all this? If you try to do that during a crisis, it's too late. You can forget it.
Yes,
it's too late. So what we do is we try to come in ahead of time, and then we train the folks. We train the executive team. We train their managers, and we try to build that muscle memory so that when there's a disaster,
you're just doing it by habit, right?
You're in there. And so 80% of what you're going to face can be taken from one disaster to the next. It's the 20% of subjectivity that you're training them. Here's what you need to assess. Here's how you need to adapt. And you have to do that before, because during you're already compromised.
Right. And then also I think that people, for lack of a political term, they lose their mind when there's an emergency and they're not thinking straight.
Correct.
And so it's not the time to make those major decisions. It's the time to act on them.
Yes. And what you see in disasters is groupthink. Because everybody is under duress. So someone who's influential in the group says, we should do X. Everybody's like, yes, let's do X.
Because you have a solution, whether it's a good one or not.
Correct. And so you tend to see that sort of groupthink bandwagon effect. And if the person who made the suggestion got it wrong, the entire organization just went sideways.
Right.
Right. And then all you can do is look back and go, what could we have done? Our job is to help you think through that before it happens.
Oh, that is awesome. So how do companies come to you in advance? Obviously they do, otherwise you wouldn't be able to help them. But how do you find your clients?
Most of our clients, actually all of our clients, have come to us through referral.
Okay.
One client tells the other saying, hey, we just worked with this company, you should give them a call. That's been the number one way that we've been brought in to help.
That's great.
Because a lot of times crisis managers within organizations talk to each other.
Right.
And they're struggling with the same issues. So when they network, they're usually asking, who do you rely on?
Right.
And for us, luckily, so far, we have delivered on our promise.
Oh, that is great.
On our mission. And our mission is our name. And so we take it very seriously. My team is distributed. We're across 3 continents. And so we can service our clients around the clock. And we do, actually. So it's been nonstop for the last few years. If you think about the pandemic,
right.
We had supply chain issues.
Oh, yeah.
We've had natural disasters. We've had man-made issues, war, cyber, civil unrest. And so there's never a day when someone from my team isn't active working with a client through a disaster. There's not a single day.
Wow, Vivek, that is great. So if someone hears this and they want to learn a little bit more, maybe they haven't given it enough thought yet, and they're saying, maybe I need to talk to this guy. How do they get a hold of you?
The best way, I would say, is LinkedIn. I'm active on LinkedIn. I post a lot about crisis
yes,
management and business continuity. That would be the most effective way to get a hold of me. We have more information on our website, which is www.thekavigroup.com.
Okay.
But LinkedIn would be the number one place I would go.
Okay.
And I'm very responsive too on LinkedIn. So I will be there to help.
Okay. So I want to thank you for coming on and sharing that. And hopefully this word gets out to a lot of companies to maybe give you a call and say, hey, maybe we need to have a talk.
I would hope so. And we tell our clients, it's not a matter of if anymore. It's when.
Yeah.
And so it's better to be prepared and take some time. My recommendation is at least do an assessment on what is your current state of readiness.
Right.
At a minimum. And that's what we can help with.
Okay. Thank you so much for being a guest.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us for another episode. To learn more about the Kavi Group, please reach out to Vivek on LinkedIn. That is the best way to reach him. And we'll see you next time on Buzz TV.